Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, April 27th, and you are live with the Retail Doc. Do me a favor, and wherever you're watching this from, please type in where you are joining me from. If it's a country, you can just put the country. If it is in the United States, get me the city and state, and I'm glad you're here to join me. I know it always takes a little while for everybody's feeds to pick up, so just to start off with, this is an exciting day because in my 31st year, I am launching the community, which you can see right there. If you scan that QR code, you'll be able to join and they'll take you to a little sign up list. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. But I wanted you to be able to connect with retailers who are like minded, who are successful. And while Facebook used to be able to do that, I think that a lot of people are either tuning it out or tuning it off. And my post, even in my 19,000 subscribers, unless I'm willing to pay money to get it out there, don't seem to be finding them. So I thought, all right, well, let's come up with a Facebook-like group for successful retailers. And that's what it is, the community. You can chat with me. You can bond with other retailers around the world. You can participate in quizzes. That's where I'm going to be holding my webinars. I've got a lot of other resources that are there for you without any charge. So all you have to do is just, again, scan that QR code. And if you forget how to do that, I will put this in the follow-up as well. But I am glad you're here to join me. We had over 300 people on our webinar this last week on tariffs. And, it was interesting because one of the questions I asked at the outside was, how are tariffs impacting you right now? And fully 45% said they weren't impacting at all. Well, I can tell you they will, because recently it came out that those big cargo ships coming from China to the US are running at about 40% less than they used to. And what does that mean? That means that there is less product coming in. There's going to be product shortages. And whatever happens, whether this administration changes its mind in a week, a year, a month, the supply chain has gotten a big kick, as well as retailers. And I think it's a body blow to retailers. So I encourage you to be writing your representative or calling your federal representatives and telling them how this is impacting you directly. Because if you haven't had your reps already start telling you about it, they will. And it's just going to be a really hard time for an awful lot of retailers. So let's get to questions. I don't have an awful lot of them. This is going to be kind of a short version today. When you are joining me, you put in, if you're watching this live, you can put in a question. I will certainly answer it live. Michael Scarborough says, okay, do I have to have every social media account? I don't have Threads or Edge or whatever the latest meta creation is. That's pretty funny, Michael. On the short answer, I could say, no, you don't need everyone. On the complex answer, I would say, well, where are your customers? That's all that matters. I have a lot of social media. I have two podcasts. I have a YouTube channel. I have Facebook Live or Facebook Business. I also have a Instagram personal and Instagram Retail Doctor, as well as I do have X, and I do have a Substack, and I've got I think I have a Blue Sky as well. Do I need all of them? Probably not. But here's the problem with me as a content creator is I don't know where people are finding me. And one of the things that I have found, Michael, is that if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out what to do with social media, I can tell you that the future is shorts. My videos that are anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. I can put up a short on Facebook and I can see it gets 1,000 views. And if I have a long video, like something like this, or something where I'm explaining something a little more complex, they might only get 50. And why does that matter? Because the algorithm is showing it to more people. And Facebook, I've been doing this, you might notice as well. I put them on Reels, and I can see that my views of those are up to 1,000 or more on a reel. Whereas if I just put on my Facebook page, it's much less. So the algorithms are favoring video. It's not easy to do. It doesn't have to be, produced like it's a big retailer. But I would say you have to choose a lane and decide on that. For me, I still find Facebook is valuable because I get to talk to a lot more of independents. But I have, 350,000 followers on LinkedIn. So I talk to them regularly. But here's the thing about LinkedIn. It's professional people who are generally looking to learn something. And that if you put one post up there, let's say if it's, let's say it's 9:05 right now, I post something right now. The goal is I need 10 people to chime in within like 45 minutes so that the algorithm is goosed and it'll show to more people. That's really hard. So people have tried to come up with groups like, oh, we'll have groups of 10 and you like mine, I'll let you know when, and they do that. And it's an awful lot. I can't do all of it. But if you post more than once a day on LinkedIn, it tends to penalize the posts after that that may not get as much. So I say pick a lane. Oh, I always said TikTok. I forgot that. Every now and then I think, oh, just throw something up in TikTok. That's not where my audience is. My audience is not on Instagram. My audience typically is really my newsletter, where I have under 100,000 people. So for me, email marketing is probably closer than social media. But I think we can exhaust ourselves thinking we can do it all and be just as successful. Because the challenge is people who are on each of those different platforms have different needs and why you're trying to do it. So I would just say, Michael, find one, master it. For me, I mastered, I think, Facebook the best by doing these live videos. By the way, if you're here with me, join, let me know you're there, put a Y, let me know you're there, let me know that you're watching, because the algorithm needs to see engagement. It's just that simple. It needs to see somehow that people are taking action. So you want them to comment or put a yes or a no or a number, anything, because otherwise the algorithm thinks, they're not really that interesting. And I like to believe that you think I am that interesting. So I see you're now jumping in. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. Okay, the Fashion Safari. I don't have a name here. It's just a store. A whole store is asking me a question. I have a new part-time employee who'll be starting work in my boutique in another week. What's the number one thing you would recommend in the initial training process? Well, um, Sales RX, my online training program. That's the number one thing. It's that simple. I mean, part-time employee, more importantly, is really hard to say that they're going to get a vision of a store unless you have a very crafted program for them to do it. The most important thing you recommend the initial training process is you find out if they can speak to people. Most people can't, so they have to be taught that, which is why Sales RX is the answer. But I'll tell you, I have a regular client of ours, and we did mystery shops because that's what we do. We do Sales RX program, takes about 4 or 5 months. To get to the end, they do mystery shops. And two people came back. One was a 48 and one was a 58. And I said, how could this happen? Oh, they're part-timers. We don't train them the same. It's like, you have to train them the same, because ultimately that's the brand that's being decided by who this person is, right? So a lot of times I think we think, oh, part-timers, they're not really that invested. It depends on what you're looking for. I'm sure Lululemon has tons of part-timers. I'm sure Starbucks has tons of part-timers. There's a lot of people who have part-timers, and they have to still treat the Ulta, Sephora, all have to train them the same way. Otherwise, you get a different experience. And that's the challenge I think we run into. I see Jose is here with me today. Jose was with me when I was with It's a Grind Coffee in Long Beach, and we grew it from a startup to 133 locations before it basically imploded and got sold to somebody else after we had left. And I think it was always a challenge that we had franchisees who really didn't look at the passion that we had about what the brand stood for. So the problem with that in a franchise is if you have people who don't believe the same way you do, they're defining your brand by whatever they're willing to accept. And I think it's the same thing for a retail store. Your store is being defined by whatever you're willing to accept by that one person, instead of going through and saying, oh, we're going to make sure everybody has the same experience over and over again. So I hope that helps. Again, if you have any questions, I only have 2 more to go. So if you have any questions, type them in today. I'm glad you're here from Australia. I'm glad you're here today from Mexico and the US. So thanks for joining me here. And again, if you like what I have to say, please consider recommending me to your friends and family. And the community, by the way, again, you can scan that at any point and you can join my community. All right, Tony says, I need strategies for selling products with higher tariffs. So Tony, it's no different than what I just said about Sales RX. I think it's time to get off the horse of asked and answered retail, which is somebody comes in the door. Do you have this widget? Yes. It's right over here. Anything else? No, that's it. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to make profit on that. It takes a lot of money to get that person in, and your profit is in the second item, not in the first. And that goes whether you're selling apparel. It goes, if you're selling shoes, you sell the one pair of shoes. Why didn't you sell a new pair of socks or insoles with it? Well, that's kind of pushy, is it? I mean, because that's what it takes to move the merchandise. Same thing when you're thinking about anything, appliances. Yes, you could do a loyalty program. I get that they can join up with. Maybe it's some kind of a service that you're going to go out once a year and you're going to check the dryer for lint or whatever. There's a million things that could be added on. If you're selling flooring, it's the molding around the flooring. It's like it's like a picture frame around the floor. Unless you have that mindset, you don't have hustle to get your crew to get up and go do better. So there you go. I hope that helps. And my last one here is Jane's asking, what do I say to customers when our prices rise, which they inevitably are going to with these tariffs, without sounding defensive? That's interesting because I think one of the things you're going to run into in retail right now as these tariffs kick in more and more. One wholesaler I was reading the other day is raising prices 8% this week, and then every 2 weeks going to raise it 8% till they can get it up to the 40% they need to be profitable. That's going to happen to all of you. So if you're thinking that, oh, this is going to be a good thing, everyone's going to come back to America like tomorrow, that's not going to happen, and you're going to see shortages. And the danger of all of this, in case you don't get it, is once that mindset kicks in, oh my God, the product I love may not be here. We're going to be back to hoarding toilet paper and paper towels and shocking the entire supply system one more time because of one person who's decided we're going to play these taxes on our citizens. And I don't think it's a red or a blue thing. Quite simply, it is a lot of chaos being thrown into retail. So what do you do? Well, don't take the bait because it's going to be just like masks were. It can be a polarizing thing. And I get it. Some people here probably slam me about why I'm talking about it. Look, I care about retail and I care about retail at all levels. We can change the world by the people working and shopping in retail. If we remember, it's about making an engaging experience to feel that they matter. If they are suddenly confronted with, I'm paying my wholesaler, I'm paying retail prices for, how does that work? Because we've just come out of COVID and things were getting better and we were looking up. And now this is one that's going to be across the board. Yeah, absolutely. But in the end, it's going to be tough for everybody. So if somebody wants to get into it with you, one side or the other, don't take the bait. Just focus on saying, look, we're trying to take care of the things we can. We're eating as much as we can. But of course, we're going to have to raise our prices to stay in business. And we hope you can support that. And role play at counter confrontations you might have. If you went through COVID, you could come up with any number of people who are going to want to jump on you about prices rising or they found it somewhere else or anything. Do some role play with your employees before you get confronted with that so that you aren't suddenly shocked and going, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Right. You can have messaging where you say, look, we're working to reduce the impact for you. We ordered early to keep your prices low. We've bundled some things together to get a better value. But even at your counter, you might say some of your favorite items may have suddenly jumped up due to tariff surcharges. Thanks for understanding. It's that simple. You have to just be transparent about it and be transparent with your employees as well so that they understand that you're doing the best you can, but let them see what's really happening with cargo ships at 40%. Show them that your prices for this one widget have gone from, let's say, $22 to $40, and the prices, yeah, you can keep them low for a little bit, but you're going to have to make a decision. Do I keep this item and pay the price, and will my customers come in and buy that from me, or won't they? And more than likely, if you don't have your staff ready and trained and understand the process of how to sell, which I go back to Sales RX over and over, and yet many of you, I don't know, figure that you don't need it, but you'll come back to me and say, how do I greet a customer? How do I overcome objections? How do I get them to buy something? Like, you can't learn it in a single soundbite. You have to be willing to take an education on it. And if you join the community, by the way, you can take a trial of Sales RX and get a sense of what that looks for. Last questions from Rex. How do I deal with a shopper who says I have to think it over? I just did a reel on this this week. The number one thing you do is you just go back and you come up, assuming you have ability to have talked to them and you understand their reasons for buying it, right? What changed in their life when they walked in the door, why they're either replacing it or adding it to their wardrobe, their toolkit, whatever it's going to be. But then you've heard all this, and now you just restate what you heard them say. So let's say, what's something weird that somebody would sell? Let's say it's a wrench. Okay. So you'd say, oh, okay, yeah, there's a $50 wrench. I have to think about it. All right. Well, you told me that what you wanted was a wrench that was lightweight. You said the one that you had was actually stripping the ends of the bolts. And you said you're in the middle of a project and you wanted to finish that. Did I miss anything? And then you just shut up. Bite your tongue if you have to. But they'll usually go through and they'll hear what you just said because it's what they said. And they realize, like, yeah, like time is valuable. Let's just get the darn wrench. That goes for anything. But that only works if you were able to have enough of a conversation at the beginning where you learned all that stuff. If you didn't learn it, and the guy just said, "Do you have a wrench?" and you said, "Oh, this is our best one. It's $45. It's lightweight. This." Like, I have to think about it. You got nothing to go back on. So you say, "Oh, well, I'll be here. We're open until 8. Here's my card. I work on bonus." Don't do that. All right. So, did you get anything out of my conversation with you today? If you did, put it in the chat. What's one thing you got out of today? Just put it in the chat below. Before I get going, if you have any questions, you can let me know. What's one thing you got out of today? Just put it in there. Just put it in there. I know there's a little bit of a time delay. I'll give you like 13 more seconds because I know that it takes a little while for YouTube and Facebook to all register it. Well, I'm not going to wait here while you're trying to come up with it. You can write it in comments and I'll see those afterwards. In any event, make sure that you realize as these tariffs are coming. Oh, there you go, Jose. You must listen. These tariffs are coming in. It's not going to be something to start bitching about. Your distributors or your wholesalers are greedy. You adopt that mentality, and I think you're going to be sunk because you're going to have to work with your distributors and your manufacturers to be able to survive what we are about to go through and all of that. So with all that said, I'm glad you joined me today. Thanks for dropping in. And please, if you know folks that could use my message, please share. Thanks so much.